Okay, let's unpack this. There's this quote from our source today. Have one Hindu friend in your life and see how knowledge follows you. Have one Muslim friend and watch how prosperity flows towards you.
Hmm.
Now, our source material, Jupiter, Venus, and the human heart. Why interfaith friendship shapes your destiny opens right there.
Oh.
And, you know, for a lot of us, that might sound, well, incredibly idealistic, maybe even a bit fantastical, right?
It does sound quite grand, doesn't it?
Yeah, but this deep dive, it isn't really about empty words or just wishful thinking.
Hmm.
Today we're exploring something the source says is a profound connection.
Which is?
The link between interfaith friendship and, well, your personal destiny. And this isn't just some
Mhm.
spiritual idea floating out there. The source uses culture, history, even astrology, interestingly enough,
Right.
and actual human experience to build its case. It promises to show us a deeper truth, one maybe we overlook.
And that's really our mission here for you today, the listener. We want to look past the easy labels, and sort of decode what it really means to be a better human. Not by arguing, but through understanding, inclusion.
Yeah.
The core message from the source is pretty stark, actually. Your hate harms you more than the one you hate.
Wow.
And what's really fascinating, from the source's perspective anyway, is that even the planets, astrologically speaking, seem to agree with this whole idea.
Okay, that's a big claim. But before we get any further into that, it feels really crucial to share a very important disclaimer. This comes directly from the source itself.
Yes, absolutely.
The message we're exploring today, it's specifically aimed at, and I'm quoting here, the thinking citizen, the one who believes in truth, beauty, and peaceful coexistence.
Right.
And it explicitly states that this message does not apply to radical Islamists, radical religion followers, hate mongers, or to the state of Pakistan.
That's a very clear distinction they make.
It is. And just to be clear, for everyone listening, our goal here, as always, is just to convey the ideas that are in the source material. We're presenting them impartially for you to think about.
Exactly. We're exploring the ideas, not necessarily endorsing every single aspect, but understanding the argument being made.
Right. So the source then gets into something it calls the cosmic code. And it talks about astrology.
Yeah.
Not like, newspaper horoscope.
Yeah. Something much deeper.
Yeah, more like an ancient complex code, one apparently followed in places like Farad, Persia, Greece, China, reflecting these universal rhythms. And it brings up two key planets for its argument, Jupiter and Venus.
And that's a really crucial starting point for their whole thesis. In this cosmic code framework, Jupiter, often called guru, is seen as governing wisdom, spirituality, dharma, expansion, that sort of thing.
Right.
And Venus, or Shukr, governs things like wealth, beauty, diplomacy, prosperity. Now, what the source does, which is quite remarkable, is it aligns these planetary forces with major philosophies.
So?
Well, it presents Hinduism as a philosophy as being sort of Jupiter-led, emphasizing things like moksha, self-inquiry, knowledge, rigorous self-discipline.
Quite the inner journey.
Exactly. And then it sees Islam, particularly in its cultural expression, as being more Venus-led, reflecting things like community, structure, generosity, and the harmonious alignment of resources.
So does the source then suggest that because one is Jupiter-led and the other Venus-led, that one is somehow, better or superior?
No, not at all. Actually, the source is very explicit about that. It says they don't mean one is better.
Okay.
Instead, the argument is that they are designed to perfectly complement each other. Like, think of it this way. Jupiter helps you get the why, the deep purpose, the wisdom, while Venus teaches you the how, the practical side, the means to actually achieve prosperity and harmony in the world.
Ah, I see. So like inner understanding and outer manifestation.
Precisely. And the tragedy, according to the source for us today, is that we've somehow turned these cosmic partners into competitors. And in doing that, the source suggests we've basically invited misfortune, not just astrologically, but psychologically, socially, economically. It gives examples, increased anxiety in society, global economic divisions. These things happen when complementary energies are forced to oppose each other. It points to a real breakdown.
Okay, that connects to another really striking claim the source makes. It says, quite bluntly, hating others wrecks your own destiny. How? I mean, why does hating another religion supposedly damage your own path, your own balance?
It's quite straightforward from the source's viewpoint, which again sees astrology as this kind of energetic map.
Right.
The idea is that our thoughts, our actions, our intentions They generate what it calls karmic waves, basically energetic ripples, consequences.
Okay.
So when you actively put out hate, it's believed to disrupt certain fundamental energies within you. Specifically, it mentions disrupting your Saturn-Jupiter-Rahu balance in astrological terms.
What do those represent?
Well, those are linked to really core parts of your life. Your stability, your wisdom, your life's overall direction. And what's more, when you disrespect or reject the principles associated with Venus prosperity, inclusion, harmony, you apparently block its positive influence.
So you cut yourself off from those things.
That's the claim. It then supposedly manifests as financial problems, relationship issues, or just inner confusion and lack of peace. So the hate doesn't really weaken the other, it fundamentally weakens you. Which is definitely something to think about, even if you're not fully on board with the astrological framework itself, right?
Absolutely. That's a really profound idea, especially for people who don't follow astrology. Does the source offer any maybe more universally understood ways to grasp this idea that hate harms us personally?
Yes, it does. And this is where it gets quite interesting because it points to a kind of convergence with modern science.
Oh, how so?
It highlights the basic physiological facts, negative emotions like hate, anger. They flood our bodies with stress hormones, things like cortisol. We know that's bad for us long term.
Right, the fight or flight stuff.
Exactly. Whereas positive connection, empathy, understanding, those promote oxytocin, the bonding hormone, which makes us feel good and promotes well-being.
So the body literally reacts differently.
Precisely. So the source is saying, look, whether you trust the ancient wisdom of the stars or the latest findings in biology, the message kind of lines up. Humans thrive in harmony, not hate.
Humanity is harmony. That's a strong statement. So this interconnectedness, whether you look at it through ancient wisdom or modern biology, it seems to resonate. How does the source then show this actually playing out in the past? To give the examples.
Oh, yes, absolutely. And it's quite compelling, actually, to make this point stronger. The source takes us on a little walk through history. It reminds us that, well, the past wasn't always as divided as we sometimes think. In many ways, it was more united, more collaborative.
Yeah, I found that part fascinating. It paints this really vivid picture, doesn't it? Hindu kings funding Muslim poets, Sufi saints singing Hindu bhajans, Muslim scientists openly debating Vedantic scholars, like real intellectual exchange, not just shouting past each other.
Right.
And in ancient India, for example, you had Kashmir as this vibrant place for both Shaivism and Sufism coexisting.
Yeah.
And this Ganga Jamuni Tehzeeb, it wasn't just a nice phrase, was it? It was a lived reality.
A real cultural blend.
Exactly. A blend where Hindu and Muslim traditions really did influence each other. Food, festivals, art, music, creating something unique.
But today, as the source points out, maybe a bit sadly, we've often reduced religion to WhatsApp forwards, divisive social media bubbles.
It's easy to see that reflection, isn't it?
It is, and then we wonder why things feel like they're declining. This historical look serves as a stark contrast, almost a lesson. What was possible then, maybe it's still possible now.
Okay, so moving beyond just rituals or history, let's look at what the source calls the inner voice of Hinduism and Islam, like the soul of these faiths. What does it highlight for Hinduism at its core?
It brings up key tenets like Aham Brahmasmi, basically, I am the divine, pointing to the divinity within every single person. Also, Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, the world is one family, this idea of universal kinship, and the concept that knowledge itself is the highest offering you can make.
And for Islam, what core principles does it focus on?
It emphasizes ikra, which means read or recite, signifying the importance of seeking knowledge. Then there's Inamalablubinyat, essentially. Actions are judged by intention, highlighting the purity of your heart and motive.
Intention matters most.
Right. And zakat, the principle of giving to those in need, emphasizing compassion and charity as fundamental.
You know, when you put those core ideas side by side like that, it really is fascinating. The source basically asks, where's the contradiction here? So what's the surprising takeaway, maybe for you listening, from seeing these core tenets together? How does the source connect them?
Well, the really surprising takeaway, or the main argument the source makes, is that these aren't really conflicting doctrines at all. They're more like parallel rivers flowing towards the same ocean. An ocean of, well, divine living, truth, justice. It connects them by showing how both traditions, when you look at their deepest philosophical roots, emphasize incredibly similar things. Inner wisdom, universal brotherhood, the value of knowledge, compassionate action.
So the external differences sometimes hide these deeper similarities.
That's exactly the argument. It suggests these shared values are actually far more fundamental than any superficial disagreements we tend to focus on.
And the practical side of this. The source makes it really clear in a section called "The World is a Family, and You Are Its Thread." Your life, my life, your life listening. It's not lived in a vacuum, is it?
Not at all.
You interact daily with people from other faiths.
Yeah.
Your favorite actor, maybe, or a singer you love, an entrepreneur you admire. They might come from a different background. The doctor who treats you might wear a different religious symbol. Your child's teacher might celebrate different holidays.
Absolutely. It's just the reality of our lives. And the source really prompts us to think, if this interconnectedness is so basic to how we live, so fundamental to our own well-being,
Yeah.
why would we choose to mess with our own inner peace, our own potential prosperity, by holding on to hate?
Yeah.
Humanity isn't about everyone agreeing on every single detail, is it? It's maybe more about choosing to respect, maybe even love, despite the differences.
So the source really encourages each of us to try and be that person who can genuinely say, look, I believe deeply in my path, and I also honor yours. It's a powerful call, really, to embrace that interconnectedness, not see it as a weakness, but maybe as the very thing that makes us strong.
So if we circle back to the central call to action from the source, it's actually quite simple, quite direct. You don't need to change your religion. You just need to expand your heart.
Expand your heart. That leads perfectly into the specific challenge that the source offers for you, our listener, this week.
Okay.
It says, have a conversation with someone of another faith. But here's the key part. Not to debate, but to understand.
Ah, that's crucial. Not debate, understand.
Exactly. And then, learn one thing from their tradition and share one from yours. It's about that active, empathetic connection, moving past just assumptions.
Real human connection. And if you actually take up that challenge, the source promises something quite, well, surprising will follow. It connects right back to everything we've talked about.
Which is?
You'll be surprised at what follows. Knowledge, prosperity, and most importantly, peace. Those are the promised outcomes. Knowledge and prosperity, just like in that opening quote.
Knowledge, prosperity, peace, it brings it full circle.
Yeah.
And then the final thought the source leaves us with is pretty impactful. We're all children of the same stars under the same sky. It's time we started acting like it.
That's a powerful image to end on.
It really is. Something definitely worth reflecting on. What that might mean for your own life, your own destiny.